Hello, my friend. You are here now with me, right on time, as always, as there is only divine timing. That is it. Everything that happens was always going to happen, so it happens. You are here now. You are always going to watch this video. You are always going to be right here, right now, because that is all that can happen. You have worked on yourself. You have worked on yourself immensely and have opened up space for a deeper understanding, for better communication with the divine. How do we do that? We have to reconstitute and empty the mind. This is something that's very important to understand, to have a deeper understanding. We need to empty the mind, stop taking in information to create space, to have better communication with the divine and receive deeper understandings that are going to allow us to escape the illusion, the matrix. That is why you are right here, right now. You are ready to have this. You are ready to incorporate this into your chemistry and conditioning because there's nothing to do. That's the golden key to escaping the illusion. There's nothing to do. We have to stop thinking. That's it. It's right in front of us. Right? We have to stop thinking we're somebody doing something and that things are happening to us. We have to stop identifying with the actor because thinking is the cause of all suffering. Stop thinking and end all of your problems. Right? Control only exists in the thinking mind. All of our suffering assumes control. Guilt, shame, regret, sin. All these things assume control, but there is no control. Another very important thing to understand. When we have a deeper understanding of there is no control, we are nature running off. My previous video about nature running off. We are chemistry and conditioning. I'm not in control of making this video. This is literally my chemistry and my conditioning. My nature running off was always going to make this video. This is just my chemistry and conditioning going. I'm observing making this video, this vessel making this video, because that's all there is to do, is observe and not become attached to the doer, to the somebodyness, to things happening to us. What does the Tao Te Ching say, my friends? Stay in the center of the circle and allow all things to take their course. If you've heard this before, I've heard me say it before, it is very important to understand, to have a deeper understanding of staying in the center of the circle, and allow all things to take their course. It is saying become the observer. Stop thinking. Do not become attached. And you only become attached when you start thinking. Right? But why do we always get caught in these games of thinking? Because we are born into a sea of stimulation, aggravation, and information, which perpetuates the cycle of thought. This is why we keep getting hammered with it. All the stimulation. They need us kept in the cycles of thought to keep us in the cycles of suffering. And we're easier to control when we think we're somebody doing something. They need us to have an ego self to identify with our somebodyness. They need that. Because that causes all of our suffering, because all of our suffering assumes control. There is no control. Again, I was always going to make this video based off my chemistry and conditioning, and you were always going to watch it based off your chemistry and conditioning. It's going to leave you. And I've received new conditioning, trying to change my chemistry, so my chemistry and my conditioning are acting differently. I received new conditioning, and now this is my chemistry and conditioning presenting to your chemistry and conditioning. Now you're receiving new conditioning by receiving this and eventually having a deeper understanding of these things, of no control, of stop thinking, become the observer is all there ever is to do, is become the observer and be present. Presence. We realize the most important, the highest devotions to God, presence and purification, focusing on presence, is surrender. While you are present, When you stop thinking, that is full surrender to God, and that allows God, the divine, to work through us. We are the vessels of God's eternal love. I am God's eternal love pouring forth. That is us fully surrendered. So how do we stop thinking? Because that allows us to become the observer in the center of the circle and not become attached to anything. Because we are attached when we think we're somebody doing something. When we think we're in control. When we think we know. All these things keep us stuck in the illusion. Stop thinking, become the observer. That's all there is to do. We don't have to do anything because your chemistry and conditioning are just going to be nature running off. You're not actually doing anything anyway. We're all just interacting with each other's chemistry and conditioning. So anytime our mind judges things is hilarious because you're judging a program. Because everybody's chemistry and conditioning, nature running off. So how do we stop thinking? How do we stop thinking? Presence and purification. We have to remove the aggravators. We're in a sea of stimulation, aggravation, and information. This is very important to understand as much as possible. We have to remove the aggravators as much as possible. How do you remove the aggravators, which is everything stimulating you in the sea of stimulation? You got to take them out. Close your eyes, meditate. We realize how important presence is, and we realize how important presence is because it's the highest devotion to God. It's surrender. It's allowing God to work through us. And every second we're in presence, we dissolve the ego because when we're present, we stop thinking and we're dissolving that attachment, the identification with our ego self, if that makes sense. There's a lot to it. It's very important to understand these things, to have a deeper understanding, because when you put them all together on one level, right? Facilitating a state of peace, which is what we need to do when we realize how important presence is. Now we're putting all these things together. They all work together. Presence, purification, facilitating a state of peace, emptying the mind. Because as you empty the mind, you receive deeper understanding and you keep realizing how important presence is and how stop thinking is. Because it is the answer to everything. You do things like facilitate a state of peace, going back to that. What do you think the monks are doing? You do everything you can to take anything that's stimulating or aggravating the thoughts or information, and you stop taking it in, which is also part of reconstituting and emptying the mind. Because to receive deeper understanding, we have to stop taking in information. Our mind buckets are full. I have a video called Mind Bucket, like full mind, empty mind, or something like that. It's all about how our minds are too full. That's why they keep hammering us with information, stimulation, aggravation. And that keeps us thinking and caught in the illusion, right? Our minds are so full, so to have better communication with the divine and receive deeper understandings, we have to empty the mind and create space to allow these deeper understandings. So that's why you're here now. You're here to hear all of these things that are going to help your being escape the traps of the illusion. Remember, but there really is nothing to do. It always comes back to that, to being the observer, because you're just chemistry and conditioning. Your chemistry and conditioning are going to continue on from this moment and do what they do. But you're receiving some new conditioning. And new conditioning can also have you trying to change your chemistry. Your conditioning is trying to change your chemistry. And when your chemistry starts changing, your being's going to have a difficult time reacting like that. And your conditioning is going to react to your chemistry. So you're just floating in the wind. Your nature running off. No matter what happens, you're just nature running off. So important. These concepts are so important, my friends. Presence, purification, nature running off, chemistry and conditioning, reconstituting and emptying the mind, facilitating a state of peace. Stop thinking. Surrender. We are the loving observer. We have to remove the aggravators. It's so important. I keep coming back to it. I keep reminding myself because that's what's going to keep pulling you back in every day. And they want you to keep thinking. So you're always identifying with your somebodyness. So you're always in the cycles of suffering because you're always thinking. Control only exists in the thinking mind. Didn't you already say that in this video? It is so important because all of our suffering, which is what most of us are caught in some way or another, assumes control. Stop thinking. That's it. So that's why facilitating a state of peace is so important. What you listen to, what you're reading, what you're watching, especially devices you're using, food you're eating, all of this thing can help better facilitate your state of peace or get you more out of balance. And then you do things like bad habits. Another important thing to understand, there is no bad habits. You're doing what you can't be attached to what you're doing. You're just observing. Because if you're attached to what you're doing, you think you're the doer. You think you're somebody doing something, and you think things are happening to you. You got to just observe no matter what it is, no matter what you're eating. Your chemistry and conditioning will try to change your eating to try to purify the vessel as one of the highest devotions to God. Right? You're not actually doing anything. You're just going to keep going in that direction. And if you fall back on a bad habit, which there are none, there are just merely things we do to cope with being out of balance. Things your chemistry, your conditioning is going to do to cope with your chemistry being out of balance. That's what bad habits are. They're not bad habits. And the more we go to presence, which is all there is to do, basically meditating and practicing presence and mindfulness as much as possible, 24/7 if possible, right? That's all we're really focused on doing, because that's all. There's nothing to do but just observe, to not think. There's nothing else to do because we're not actually doing anything. Very important to understand to don't try to do anything. You're not doing anything. There is no control. We just think we're this somebodyness, this vessel. We think we're somebody doing something. But when we stop thinking enough, we start to get to that point where we realize what we're talking about by being the observer, because you start to be the observer and be like, wow, I am nature running off. This can be a turning point in understanding nature running off when you are present enough that you start to observe. You start to observe yourself talking and interacting and doing things, and you realize everything you're doing, oh, why'd I do this? This is a bad habit. It's all just part of the illusion. It's all part of the game, the thinking mind. You just can instantly be like, nope, there's no control. You just got to observe. I'm eating this. Eventually, you're just observing it. What you're eating is your body, your conditioning acting to your chemistry, and you're acting off of basic other conditioning. You know what I mean? Your chemistry and conditioning. It's all just working together. So there's nothing to do but just relax and observe it all. What's hard is not being attached from, like, let's say, your family and things. Because you can't even be attached to anyone, no matter who they are, or you're going to get caught in the illusion. It doesn't matter who it is. There's that book, I think it's Siddhartha, right? Is that the book? Where the guy his son rebels against the guy, right? This guy lives near a river. I don't remember much about it. And he was very attached to his son, but he realized his son wanted to go off and do his own thing and not be not be a part of the dad's life, if I remember correctly. So the son goes away, but the dad is so attached. Eventually he realizes he's got to detach. You can't even be attached to your son. Because you're not even in control. There's nothing to do. It was always going to happen. Anything that happens was always going to happen because it happens. You're never going to make another decision. Another very important concept. I'm kind of just putting it all together. I have videos about all of these individually. I have videos on many different of these topics and concepts and perspectives. Whatever happens was always going to happen. So there is no this or that. There's no choosing. It was always going to happen because it happened. That's it. So no matter what you choose, this or that, it was always going to happen. So it doesn't matter what you do, right? If you, I'm going to think this, it's going to make a big difference. You're always going to do that. You're never going to do anything else. Because if you did this, that was never going to happen. It couldn't have, because this happened. And whatever happens was always going to happen because it happens. So you realize there's nothing to do but be the observer and stop thinking, which is full surrender, which allows the divine, the God, our cosmic beloved, to work through us, and we become our higher self. Every second you are present, you are dissolving your ego. So keep presence and purification, reconstituting, emptying the mind. Stop taking in information. This is hard to do because part of our ego is so attached with taking in information that it can be hard for chemistry and conditioning to figure out how to stop that. But you don't got to do anything. Presence. That's it. And that will literally just keep facilitating the evolution of your being by being present. Because every second you're present, you're getting closer to the center of the circle. And when you're present all the time, like some of these gurus, you achieve cosmic consciousness, which means you say to God, I am done with this bullshit. 100%, 1,000, 1,000,000% done with the illusion. I am surrendering completely to you, God. I dissolve all my attachments. I am just your vessel completely. Let's do this. That is cosmic consciousness. You don't think. And God, and you are just the highest, most top-notch level of yourself in this illusion. You're allowing God to work through you at the highest level by helping others escape the illusion. That is why I am here. I did not foresee this by even close that I would be here right now teaching these videos on these deeper understandings I have received. It is mind-blowing. If you got me like 5-10 years ago and showed me these videos, I would have no idea. And because I remember back then having no idea, and I wouldn't even be able to entertain these concepts or these perspectives and how to escape the illusion because my being was not ready. That's not, because everything happens exactly when it's supposed to happen. So I was just chemistry and conditioning running off until they got here. And now I'm here teaching and sharing with you, my friends, and you are exactly where you need to be listening to this video and starting to implement these in your being on this level. Your chemistry and conditioning will, right? Purifying the vessel, eating raw fruits and vegetables, fruits, berries, and melons, purify, cleanse, energize the vessel is a devotion to God. Very important. And again, you're just receiving new conditioning and your body's going to go about it. So it's hard not to become attached with messing up, trying to purify the body and this and that and the other thing. It's hard not to be attached, but then we keep realizing, oh, if I'm trying to eat fruit and vegetables and I end up eating some cooked food, you know what I mean? That's for me. That I might be on a different a part of the spectrum than other people, and they're like, well, who cares if you eat cooked food, right? But for me, you're trying to eat all raw because you're devoted to purifying your vessel for God as one of the highest devotions, then you fall off. But then you realize that I can't get trapped in the game. That's just a trap of the illusion. I just have to observe it. That's my chemistry and my conditioning. That's all you're observing. Your nature running off. So the next time someone acts what is one party you sees as negatively toward you, there's nothing to do but observe. If we're feeling something toward it, like emotionally, we're still attached. Because we think, because something someone said can still hit a part of our ego, and then we come back to life and our ego is like, what? You can't say that to me. What? They can't do that. Like there's any control, but there is no control. That's what you're observing. When you judge someone, you're observing someone with no control. That's just their chemistry and conditioning. I see some of the other fruitarians posting pictures of overweight people and criticizing them about what they eat and their life choices. It's like, dude, you're wasting your time. You're judging a program. There's no control. You think these people are in control of what they're doing? You know what I mean? That's why I just shrug every time I see this. They're just their chemistry and their conditioning. They were always going to do that. And if they're in part of their journey, they may not escape the illusion. They're going to be coming back in the cycles of rebirth again. And that's just where they are on the spectrum. Some people are gonna exit and keep coming back. Some people are gonna start to get it more and more until they don't have to keep coming back to the illusion, the cycles of rebirth, cycles of samsara. And that is why you're watching this video. Because you're here to receive this new conditioning, which is now going to be, you're going to absorb what you can of this new conditioning and start to receive these deeper understandings and go over these important concepts and perspectives. No control, reconstituting, emptying the mind, facilitating a state of peace. This is your cosmic laser focus of what you think you're doing and what there is actually to do, which is nothing but become the observer and stop thinking. So keep reminding yourselves if you need them. Keep listening to these videos. Just relax. Let's just have a chat. You and I, my friend, you are here exactly when you need to be here. Because that is all there is divine timing. Every person you meet and you see and you make eye contact with or interact with in traffic, at a store, at your job, at the park with your kids, is always going to happen. So whenever you meet somebody, it's wild to observe that, like, man, this is crazy. This dude was always going to be right here, right now. What's going on? You know what I mean? It doesn't always mean something that you're gonna observe. You know, it's going to catch you right away. But sometimes you're like, wow, that's wild. And all there is to do is observe, observe and say, wow, I guess, right? Observe, stop thinking. That's it. Remove the aggravators. Very important. Start facilitating a state of peace in every way, because presence is the top priority to escaping the illusion. Even our own suffering, we have physical suffering, which is why purification is so important. But if we have physical suffering, it's more likely to keep us aggravated and stimulated and relying on things of the illusion that are not natural, right? That are not a part of our highest selves, natural, free selves. You know what I mean? That's why we got to take care of our physical being, a purification. Because not taking care of it is going to make it harder for us to stay present, which is number one, devotion to God. We got to remove the acids, because that helps calm the mind and calming the body through the correct foods that are not aggravating it and destroying it and stimulating it, is a devotion to God. And it's going to help you stay present. That's what all comes back to. Everything we're doing is an effort to be present as much as possible. Stop thinking, because that is the highest surrender to our cosmic beloved, saying, I trust you 1,000%. I don't need to think. I don't need to attach myself to all the traps of the illusion, the cycles of suffering. You sick of suffering? Welcome to this video. All there is to do is stop thinking and be the observer. And then, when you're not thinking, you will realize there's no control. There's no control. Control is an illusion that only exists in the thinking mind. Thank you for joining me, my friends. In perfect, divine timing. You were always going to be here, listening to these words. I was always going to be speaking these words. Based off of my chemistry and conditioning, I am doing nothing. Could I foresee I was going to be a spiritual teacher of sorts, receiving these deeper understandings on this particular path 10 years ago? No. It's all my chemistry and conditioning just brought me here naturally. How do you become your highest version of yourself? Doing what? And this is my chemistry and conditioning working off naturally. I didn't do anything to be here right now, doing these videos, right? Which is wild. So you don't have to do anything. How do you become? What should I do? I don't know what to do. You're caught in your thinking mind. You don't got to do anything, but be the observer and allow your chemistry and conditioning to play out, to be nature running off. Crazy, right? Thank you for joining me, my beautiful friends, my sisters and brothers, at the perfect timing. I am always here for you if you need a reminder, because I know I need a reminder. That's why I keep making these videos all the time, because this is all there is to do, is nothing, is stop thinking and be the observer. But we have to, at this one level that we're partially interacting at, we have to take in this information, this deeper understanding, and these concepts and these perspectives, and assimilate it into ourselves and practice it. Right? Everything, every day I wake up, I am God's eternal love pouring forth. Stay present, stay present, stay present, stay present, right? You get it cracking right in the morning. That's all I want to do. That's all that really matters. Let everything else play out. Chemistry and conditioning, nature running off. That's it, because that's the only thing to do, ever. Focus every day. And then you're just observing what is happening with your form, with your diet, with your purification, with your habits, things you do to cope with it. And the more you stay present, the more you will balance, because you're removing the stimulation and stress from assuming control, but from thinking mind. So the more you stay present, the more you're balancing. And then all these bad habits or things we do to cope with being out of balance will start naturally falling off. Presence is the key to everything, to escaping it all. You got to give it all up, all of it, to our cosmic beloved. Complete surrender. That's cosmic consciousness. And that is all we are doing. If you're watching this video, that is all we are doing. Perpetually, really. If we're doing anything, we're not doing anything at one level. At one level, all we're doing is observing, being the observer, our highest divine God self. We are God experiencing itself. May our cosmic beloved send you peace, patience, presence, understanding. Thank you for joining me, my sisters and brothers. Have a blessed night. If you'd like to say it with me, I'm going to say, I am God's eternal love pouring forth. I am God's eternal love pouring forth. Namaste.